me, John, the only thing cooler than seeing the Vikings play for the number one seed in this remarkable season is getting to see them do it against the Detroit Lions. If I weren't invested in covering the Vikings, there's no team I'd be more interested in than the Detroit Lions, and there's probably no better story in the NFL than the rise of the Detroit Lions, if it's not Sam Darnold. So this is going to be epic. Can't wait to talk to you about it here on the Viking Update Show. The Viking Update Show is presented to you by OnX Hunt. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. I also want to thank Natrium.com, Crazy Fresh, and Chew Vision Institute, and Twill in the Edina Galleria. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Best way to listen to this show is to subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Do so for any shows at TalkNorth.com you like, including the John Krawczynski Show. It's the easiest way to listen. It's also free. And thanks for listening. We do appreciate it. All right, John, you grew up a Viking fan. You've been covering the team for decades. I came here to cover the Vikings in 1990. There aren't many regular season games that have the feel of this one.
Yeah, no, I think that, oftentimes, it's always recency bias. This is the best ever. This is the biggest ever, all those things. But you look at the combined records of these two teams. I think I saw last week, Jim, that when the Vikings met the Packers, it was the most combined victories in an NFC regular season, playoff or regular season game ever. And so I assume that might be the case again with Detroit this week. The combined victories, the stakes, because the winner gets first round bye and home field advantage and only has to win 2 home games to go to a Super Bowl, where the loser has to go on the road for 3 games to go to a Super Bowl. I mean, there's just so many things that are conspiring to make this just an incredible matchup. The Lions offense and the Vikings defense, Sam Darnold, all just amazing storylines, amazing stakes, everything you could want in a Sunday night NFL game with just for all of the marbles, man. It's awesome.
I love Dan Campbell. I love what he's done there. I love his toughness. I love the mentality of his team. I also disagree with him on playing his starters on Monday night. Meaningless game. He could have had a major injury as a result. They gained nothing by winning the game. I don't really get it. I don't know what you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in general in terms of it seems like the right thing to do is preserve your starters, try to avoid injury. Also, the whole thing about playing on Monday night and having to come back around on Sunday when you're on the road, West Coast, that's a real thing. I think that the rest advantage for the Vikings is a something to talk about. It's not going to probably make or break this game, but it helps. And so I do understand and probably thought a lot about saying, yeah, just punt this game and go forward for and be totally ready for next Sunday. That said, there is, I do think, Jim, something to maybe what Dan Campbell is doing in terms of setting the culture in Detroit. I mean, he's done a fantastic job of doing it already, but I do think when you're leading that team and that franchise that has been just an absolute joke for decades and decades, I think that he probably looks at this and says, no, this is a bigger picture thing of we go to win games and we compete at the highest level every single game. And I'm not going to try to ask some guys to, or I'm not going to leave some guys on an island. I'm not going to take the bat out of their hands. And so it seems like it was a more of an overall sort of this is the culture that we are establishing here. We go and we compete every time we step on the field and we try to win every single game. And that may have a larger impact on what they're doing from a macro sense, but certainly it was very risky in the micro and in the immediate right now.
Yeah. And, we may never know whether it made an impact or not. But philosophically, I disagree with it. I also, like I said, I kind of also admire it. I'm completely hypocritical on that one. Let's get to a big Vikings moment. not only could we not have envisioned 14 victories, maybe 15, possibly number one seed, so many of the things that have gone right this year. I mean, how about that moment? You and I were both at the Packer game on Sunday. Sam Darnold talking to Tom Brady on the field after lighting up the Packers, then going to the locker room and getting treated like a hero. That is about as good as it gets.
It's amazing, Jim. And, you know, the cynic in you would say, come on, like, you didn't win a championship here. Well, what's the big deal? But I am, as folks here who read me and listen to all of the stuff that we do together, like, I'm not a cynic. And I do think that it was a powerful moment in terms of, I do believe that this entire Vikings team looks at Sam Darnold and sees themselves. They see a team collectively that has been discounted, that has been overlooked, that has been dismissed, and Sam Darnold individually was discounted, overlooked, dismissed, believed to be going out of the league, believed to be a bust, and no expectations coming into this season. And then there he is, just having a remarkable performance, beating the Packers with 377 yards and 3 touchdowns, coming back from the interception and driving them down the field for the score. You know, the whole nobody believed in us thing is so trite in professional sports, but I do think that the Vikings can say that at least not many people believed in us at the start of the season. Not many people believed in Sam Darnold. And so when they like lifted him up on their shoulders and they're showering him with water and all of those things, I think it was, yes, they were celebrating the season that he's had and topping 4,000 yards and doing all of the amazing things that he has done individually. But I think they saw that as a moment that we're all going to celebrate ourselves. We're going to look at ourselves and say, this is us. We've done all this. We've done this together. And so Sam is just sort of the one symbol for our entire group. And it was really, really cool. The togetherness, the cohesion, the chemistry, the belief that they all have in each other kind of manifesting itself in Sam Darnold. Just it's what sports are all about. It's the best thing.
Yeah, it was great stuff. And it was natural, you know. It was a real thing. It wasn't some, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just a cool moment. And then the fact that Sam Darnold after the game called it his Ricky Bobby moment because he couldn't feel his hands. All that. I mean, you know, Sam has been very, you know, and understandable because he's been through the ringer. He's been criticized a lot. And he's been criticized in major markets. He's been low key with us. And I understand why. You know, he doesn't want to say anything that he's going to regret. He has really very little to gain by pumping his own story. Other people can do that. And for him to kind of loosen up and have fun with that after, I thought that was also cool.
100%. Yeah. I have recognized the same thing as you, Jim, in terms of the just kind of close to the vest, reticence to really kind of open up, very, you know, I thought it was interesting. He talked to Tom Brady after the game, on, you know, last week and on Sunday, and Tom Brady operated the same way for his entire career with the Patriots of just, you know, when you win, say nothing. And when you lose, say less. Like, that's kind of like, be boring. And that's what it is. You know, you'd love to see him cut open a vein. You'd love to see him probably really just say what he's really been thinking. And maybe he's waiting, maybe if they go and win the Super Bowl, maybe that's when you will see a little bit more candor from him. But I understand his reluctance to do that. I mean, the last thing you want to do is try to take a victory lap too early or anything like that. I think he just doesn't want to jinx kind of what he has built and what he's doing here, because he has been through the ringer from a media perspective in New York. Certainly, you know, when he was in Carolina, just like the bust label kind of being hailed coming in as the number 3 overall pick, and then just being kind of, you know, raked over the coals. I could see how you wouldn't want to participate in that sort of circus. But yeah, to have that moment, yeah, you just kind of just a little bit. I'm just going to reveal a little bit of my personality, because I do think when you talk to people about, hey, what's he like who is he really behind the scenes? He does have a dry wit. He does have a good sense of humor. He's kind of cutting in some ways that way, and people really like him. And that moment is one that I'll use that quote a lot of times when I'm trying to describe being excited or stuff. I mean, it's a great movie, and it's a great moment in the movie. And so Sam Darnold doing that's relatable. Like, he watches Will Ferrell movies, and he does kind of let his hair down a little bit here and there. And that was just a moment of humanity that we haven't seen a whole lot of from Sam in a public setting that way. So I thought it was really cool.
More football on the way here, but ice fishing is here, and it's time to hit the frozen water with OnX Fish. The Fish app is the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your confidence on ice. Use OnX Fish to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potentials. OnX Fish also shows you hot spots, lake-by-lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. For a limited time, download OnX Fish for free in Minnesota and Wisconsin, or go to onxmaps.com/fish to get more information on the app that is changing the game on ice. Also want to tell you about another one of my favorite companies, Natrium. I'm using their products all the time. My wife has started using their products. We both love it. And sometimes it's just a gummy or one of their candies, hard candies that taste like sweethearts, just to kind of chill out and watch TV. More often, we both use it for rest, relaxation, sleep aids. The Goodnight Moon sleep aid is what I really like, the Carpe Diem stuff. But they have so many varieties. They have so many drinks, dips, balms for your joints, oils for your gut. They have so many ways they can make your life better. You really owe it to yourself to go to a Natrium or a Wildflower store in person, check out their products, and have one of their experts help guide you to what's going to work for you. Because there are so many different varieties and different dosages and different ingredients. You want to find what just works for you. Once you do, you'll be very happy. Natrium, natrium.com. Another company I'm using all the time, Crazy Fresh. They brought me some really cool holiday vegetable and fruit trays over the holidays. And it's just, I love it. The watermelon is so crisp when you open up the thing. The pineapple is so crisp when you open it up. It's all so fresh. That's why they call it Crazy Fresh. I used to like eating the salads. Now my wife takes all the salads to work with her. So I'm eating more of the guacamole, the party dips, again, the fresh cut fruit and fresh cut vegetables. They're also giving out golden tickets in certain packages. The first golden ticket winner this year got to go to the Vikings-Packers game at Lambeau. There are more golden tickets in the wild. You want to check them out. Crazy Fresh. Thanks to Crazy Fresh for making my life easier. All right. Let's review the Packer game really quickly. I'm not surprised the Vikings won. I expected them to win. I expected them to win a close game. I guess I'm surprised that they took such a dominating lead once again, and that really Jordan Love did not look up to solving this defense for three quarters.
Yeah, I thought it was, it was really interesting to me coming into the game, kind of listening to some of the conversation around it. I couldn't get over, yes, the Packers had played well and they'd had some good victories. But the Vikings had won 8 in a row. And it was kind of cast as, well, here's Jordan Love and he's on a hot streak. And so I think the Packers have the edge, but Sam Darnold's numbers were better than Jordan Love's over the previous 6 or 7 games as well. Like, everything that the Packers were doing, the Vikings have been doing. And what we saw on Sunday was that the Vikings had a much easier job early for the first, first 50, 55 minutes of the game had a much easier job of replicating what had worked for them than the Packers did the other way around. Now, Green Bay was missing Christian Watson and they had a few injuries and things, but I thought Jordan Love was incredibly ordinary for almost the entire game until he got going in the fourth quarter, which felt like an NBA game, honestly, where a team had a big lead and they relaxed and the other team got back into it. And all of a sudden you're in a meat grinder. But I think he had, before the Packers' first touchdown, he had 64 yards of passing in 3+ quarters, and he was erratic. And it wasn't that he was getting sacked a ton, because he wasn't, but the Vikings were putting some pressure on him. I think that Brian Flores did a great job of mixing up the coverages and playing a lot more man coverage than what Green Bay expected. And so there was a bit of a chess match that the that the coaching staff, the Vikings coaching staff, won against Matt LaFleur and the Packers coaching staff, and he did not seem comfortable. Jordan Love did not, and I thought the Vikings defense did an unbelievable job for 3 1/4 of the quarters, and then they got a little tired. They got a little bit loose, and Green Bay got back into the game.
I thought the key play of the game, and obviously there are a bunch of key plays on the Vikings side. The key play of the game, though, for me, early on, the Packers decided to go for it on 4th down. He has Reed wide open over the middle. If he hits him in stride, it's probably a touchdown. It's at least a first down and goal to go, and he just misses him. And I do give Flores a lot of credit for confusing Love, for keeping off balance. That was just a play that Love just didn't make.
Yep, absolutely. There was a few of those plays. Then there was the long incompletion, on their last drive, that just didn't ever have a chance, of being completed as well. He wasn't that sharp. He has had a good start to the career. He won the playoff game last year in Dallas. And so, he certainly is talented physically. He has a great arm. He moves around, does a good job. But, I think that there's a Packer sheen that he has right now that is above what he's actually accomplished. And he's so far been a good quarterback and nothing more than that. But there is kind of this belief that he is elite, and so far we just have not seen that on a consistent basis. And there were several throws that he missed on Sunday, that elite quarterbacks in big spots don't miss. Now, maybe he'll get into the playoffs and maybe he will play really well and he will make all of those throws. Maybe it'll be against the Vikings. Who knows? But for that game, it just was a continuation of, for me, what I've seen from him is, nice player, good quarterback, but not somebody that you say is going to. Sam Darnold has had a better year than Jordan Love. Sam Darnold has, no question, had a better year and is as physically talented as Jordan Love is, and I just don't think enough people are saying that.
Well said. All right, let's get to the matchup, the big matchup on Sunday. First, I want to tell you about Twill in the Edina Galleria. I'm at the time of the year now where I've gone away from all the golf, all the dressy stuff. Now I'm wearing all the flannel shirts, the nice flannel shirts. Because that's the cool thing about Twill is you can buy something like a flannel shirt and it ends up being nicer. It ends up lasting longer. Johnny O has some great stuff like that. I have a Stenstrom's that's kind of a classy flannel shirt that looks like a dress shirt. And then the Peter Millar pullovers. You're looking for layers this time of year. I can wear kind of a thinner shirt and wear one of the Peter Millar pullovers, and I'm warm, and it's kind of one of those quarter zip things, only it's a lot nicer than the ones Peyton Manning wears. I think Peyton should go to Twill and shop there. Twill in the Edina Galleria, great place to shop, laid back, very knowledgeable customer service people. Often Scott Dayton himself is in the store talking sports to everybody. Takes great pride in everything he has in the shop. Everything in the shop is something he has handpicked. He's friends and partners with all of the people who come through with these wares. He curates everything to the nth degree. He'll tailor it so it fits you perfectly. I just can't. It's the best men's clothing store and the best shopping experience in the Twin Cities. Go to Twill in the Edina Galleria. Go to twillmn.com to check out their inventory and to sign up for their email notifications. They only send one out like once every couple of months. They only send them when they have something special going on, but it's worth knowing when that special thing's going to happen. So check out Twill in the Edina Galleria. Now here's John on True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. If you're looking to start the new year off on a good note, go into True Vision, go to truevision.com and set up a consultation and do something that I did this summer that I wish I would have done 10 years ago. And that's go and have LASIK surgery at True Vision. It has made my life so much easier, so much more convenient. I don't have to deal with the hassles of glasses and contacts anymore. I get all sorts of comments about looking younger, about looking great without the glasses. And I just feel great. And it's something that you step into True Vision in Bloomington They take unbelievable care of you. They are so warm and inviting. Dr. Chu is an expert and has been doing this for decades now. And he guides you through the process, and it's very easy. It's very quick. It's very comfortable. You get done with the procedure. You wake up the next day and you're seeing absolutely clearly. I cannot recommend it enough. Like if it's been a rough year for you in 2024 and you're looking to turn over a new leaf, go to True Vision, set up your consultation, go in and start changing your life for the better right away. You will feel good. You will feel great. You will say to yourself, like I said to myself, why didn't I do this 10 years ago? TrueVision.com.
All right. What do you expect to see on Sunday night?
Man, I don't know, Jim. I think that so far this season, the one team that really seemed to put the Vikings defense and Brian Flores on its heels more than any other was Detroit. I think that the way that they counteracted a lot of the aggression that Brian Flores brings and the chaos, they just did not seem as uncomfortable with the Vikings defense as so many others that we have seen, including Jordan Love, including the Packers. So I do believe that this is going to be a high scoring game. I think that the Lions are going to put points on the board, and I do think that the Vikings offense is going to score plenty against that very banged up Lions defense. And so I'm looking at, a game, 34-31, something like that. I haven't, quite frankly, made my determination yet on who I think is going to win. We're recording this on Tuesday. But I'm going to lean maybe ever so slightly toward the Vikings because I think they're healthier on both sides of the ball than Detroit is. I don't think, or I would say I would trust this coaching staff and this team to go on the road and win. And so I don't think the home field is going to be overwhelming advantage for the Lions, just as it wasn't an overwhelming advantage for the Vikings earlier this season. And so I think it's going to be really close. It's going to be really tight, and it's going to be a lot of fun. One of the best games in the entire league all year long.
I agree. And I think I am ready to say what I think is going to happen. I think the Vikings are going to win a high scoring, close game. I think this game is going to feel a lot like the rest of the season. They'll be challenged. I think they will score enough points. I think if they need to produce points in the last minutes, they will. I do think the fact that the Lions defense is shredded, that they played a physical game on Monday night on the West Coast. I just think the Vikings are in a better position to win this game in many different ways. I also think that everything you said about that first Vikings game was right. The Lions did look very comfortable. They seemed to figure out what was going on and really were able to hurt Flores' defense with big plays by taking advantage of their aggression. I also think the fact Cashman is healthy now will make a difference. I also think Flores will have learned something from that first experience. So, I think you nailed it. I think it's like a 34-31 game, and in a close game under these circumstances, I'm going to take the Vikings.
Yeah, I can't argue with you, and I may end up there as well by the end of the week here as I look at it. That's the other part about this, Jim, is like, obviously whoever wins, they have a huge advantage going forward where you get the bye week in the first round. You get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think that's a big thing for either team. Just being able to be at home and getting that week of rest, it would be enormous for them. That said, whoever loses, Vikings or Lions, Jim, I absolutely see a possibility of either one of these teams going on the road for 3 straight weeks in the NFC and winning games and going to the Super Bowl. I think they can all do it. I think the parity in the conference is such that it allows for that. I do think that the talent on both of these teams does allow for them to reasonably go into these and say, yeah, we can win at Tampa or win at Atlanta, and then you can win here, and then you can win there, and then you can go to the Super Bowl. So whoever wins will be in a fantastic position. But whoever loses, including if it's the Vikings, I still say, like, you go into the playoffs confident that you can do some damage and put yourself in a position to go to the Super Bowl for the Vikings for the first time in my lifetime, and for the Lions for the first time in forever.
Yeah. And if I were not a journalist and I didn't have to, play the journalist game of maintaining some semblance of realism, I would just root for these two franchises. I would just love for one of these franchises. And even just as a human being, I would like to see one of these two franchises win a Super Bowl, and, reward their fan base, and also reward two organizations that have done incredible work building themselves up to this point where they're not just really good teams and really good franchises and programs, but also really likable.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do think that they're both organizations have done a very good job of hiring the right people in the right leadership positions now, and then letting those people build out cultures and build out ecosystems that really do, I think, foster connection, foster positivity, good vibes, all of those things. And they're both likable organizations. They both have people that are in, very influential positions who you have a lot of respect for, who it seems like do things the right way, and treat people well, all of those things. And I think, that's very good and not always common with some of the successful organizations. So, if either one of these teams does go to the Super Bowl, it would be well rewarded and well deserved for so many people inside the organizations that work so hard and do a good job and are easy to work with.
One last note here, and it has to do with injuries. I'm going to write about this later in the week at the Star Tribune. I do think it's very interesting that the Vikings' reputation is that they're a very humane organization. They really try to take care of their players. They're very cognizant about rest and recovery. They invest a lot in that, and they are remarkably healthy at this time of the year. And the Lions pride themselves on physical toughness and playing a physical brand of football and beating you up. And they are just shredded in terms of injuries. And I just wonder if there's some correlation there.
Yeah, it's a great question, because I would have to be sort of more embedded with the Lions to really get a read for, okay, are their practices more demanding? Are there other things that are happening that lead them into this situation that they're in right now from an injury perspective? Or is it the gosh darn bad luck that happens in the league as well? And you have a player who his knee sticks in the turf and at the wrong angle, and that happens, or a pectoral muscle rips, or whatever it is. There's a lot of different ways that you can be injured, because the other flip side of this, Jim, is that when you look at the Vikings and how they play the game, certainly defensively, there's a lot of physicality. There's a lot of toughness. There's a lot of aggression and those things. And yeah, maybe they are taking steps, and maybe they are doing things during the week, in the off season, in training camp, that really just better position their bodies to absorb the punishment that they take, and they do, and that's entirely possible. Certainly when you talk to people around the organization, like you said, there is definitely a care that is given to the health and recovery and nutrition and all of those things. Are the Lions not doing that? I don't know, but it certainly, I think, can feel validating to the Vikings that, I think beyond just having good luck this year, that their training staff, their medical staff, that, all their support staff has done a good job of getting these players' bodies in a position where they are able to withstand a hell of a lot of punishment.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One last question to wrap up this show. Which Lions player scares you the most?
Let's see here. I would say, I kind of want to say, I think it's Jahmyr Gibbs. I just, when you look at what he is able to do in the passing game and the running game. I mean, Jameson Williams is another name that I would throw out there as just a speed guy who can tilt the field in the blink of an eye. But I think Gibbs as the guy who is going to get a bunch of touches, that they're going to be putting him in creative situations with really interesting concepts. And what he is able to do once the ball is in his hands, and what this Vikings defense, the strengths and weaknesses of it. I just think that keeping him from blowing the top off of this thing is going to be an incredible challenge. David Montgomery and that loss is a huge one for the Lions. But I think that if there is a silver lining to it, it just means that Gibbs is even more featured, and man, he is one hell of a player. And so I think that would be the guy that would make me the most nervous. What about you?
Well, sure. You can say Gibbs. I'm going to say Penny Sewell on the flea flick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean, who knows what these are both teams, Jim, that they both like to run these weird trick plays. And I don't, some of it is great play calling and creative and keeping the other team off balance. I also think that both of these teams, Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, Kevin O'Connell, Wes Phillips, I think they like to flex a little bit and say, look at how creative we are. And no, I'm going to outsmart you, and I'm more daring than you. And there's a bit of a measuring contest with some of these plays. So maybe we'll see a little bit of that on both sides of the ball on Sunday.
It's going to be a blast, and so will the playoffs. Thanks for listening to the Viking Update Show. Check out the John Krawczynski Show as well. Check out TalkNorth.com for a full slate of sports and outdoor shows, including Don Mitchell's show, Randy Shaver's new show. We appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you next week.